Hello and welcome back to Suspense Animation. I'm your host, Dennis Bithoulkas, and it's time for another episode actually the penultimate episode of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Season 1, Episode 5, Truth. Welcome, everybody. Let me take care of some business first, and then we'll get down to it. If you like what you see here, like, share, and subscribe. If you're still on the fence about subscribing, take a look at the video that pops up at the very end here. Basically, what YouTube does, takes the algorithms of all the stuff you've been watching and tries to match it as best as possible. One of the videos, my vast video library, then pops it up there just for you. And if you like what you see there, hit that subscribe button down below there. Also, if you can, or if you want to, I should say, if you want to know when I'll be on live again next, hit that bell down below. It's a 50-50 chance of YouTube actually notifying you. Best thing to do is go to suspendifanimation.com. Take a look at the schedule up there. I change it out every week. Also, I have all the links to my social media, so Twitter, Instagram, Patreon. No tier set on the Patreon, but very, very, very close. I'm 9 subscribers away from 1,000. Once I hit 1,000, I'm going to put some tiers up there, and you'll see what's going to happen on there. I also have links to this YouTube channel, my Facebook page, and for those of you who still have Facebook, a Facebook group page where you guys can post stuff and chat amongst yourselves. All right, let's get down to it, shall we? Spoiler alert, I am going to spoil the episode. If you have not seen the episode, go and watch it. Come on back. This will be a video you can comment down below in the comment section. Yes? No? All right. We got it? All right. Ooh, yeah, they did spill some truth on this one. So let's get the big thing out of the way first. So we did have our cameo, as they said, with the big star, Julia Louise-Dreyfus. She came in as Contessa Valentina Allegra de Fontaine. And who is this person, you might ask? Well, originally she's supposed to be introduced in Black Widow, which is supposed to be out in May of this year. Is that right? May of last year. So it's kind of gone reverse now. So she was supposed to be introduced in Black Widow in May of 2020, but she's now being introduced into, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier here. She is also known in comic book by a couple different names in the comics, Madam Hydra being one of them. So there you go. She is essentially like the Nick Fury of Hydra is what she is at this point. And yes, I agree with you, Penn. She did do a great job of stealing the scene. I was actually that it was an okay thing, and I liked what she did, what she brought to it. It was just a little tiny scene, but yeah. And there's also some other little tiny scenes that were in this episode too that were really, really good that explained a lot. So of course, John Walker gets stripped of the Captain America title. Also gets his arm broken by Sam, of all people. Sam, not on the super soldier serum, but uses his rocket jetpacks to break John Walker's arm, getting the shield off of him as him and Bucky were fighting John Walker. And John also rips the wings off of Falcon's backpack too. So, I mean, they both got handicapped there. And Bucky kind of makes a realization that, and he apologizes to Sam later on, basically saying that he and Steve didn't realize the implications of a black man wielding the shield and becoming Captain America. And it's something I've been talking about throughout this entire series of, I think I brought it up in episode 1 of this, of when Bucky was just pissed off at Sam for giving up the shield and didn't understand it. And Sam was just kind of brushing him off because he didn't want to explain it all. There was a lot of stuff that he would have to go through in order to do that. And Bucky finally came to that conclusion himself, thankfully. And also Bucky has his own demons that he needs to work out too, which he started off with by recapturing Baron Zemo in Sokovia for the Wakandans, who decided not to kill him and bring him to the raft instead. Applecare says, is there a significance to the card that was white on one side and black on the other? Everything's black and white, Applecare. That's pretty much what it is with them. With Hydra, everything with them is black and white. That is really what it is. It's just at face value is so the other thing that was a small little scene in there, and I'll get to the Isaiah Bradley scene, which was excellent, by the way, too. We had a little snippet of Sharon Carter talking on the phone in Madripoor, and she's talking to Batroc. Yes, she is talking to Batroc, because if you have subtitles on, they tell you who she's talking to. And she says to him, I didn't break you out of the Algiers prison. You'd still be in the Algiers prison if I didn't break you out. So going back into history, when Cap initially captured Batroc, he was put into a prison in Algiers. So between that time and we see him in the Falcon and Winter Soldier, he, of course, has escaped the Algiers prison, or gotten out of the Algiers prison. And now we know that it was Sharon Carter who got him out. And she says, you need to do me a favor, or you owe me, is what she says. And we see Batroc being hired by Carly to do something to Sam. But first, of course, he needs to do something with them and the Flag Smashers, and taking down the GRC before they do their repatriation plan, where they're going to take 20 million people and bring them back to their country of origin, is what's going to happen there. So yeah, that's some big ramifications right there. Is that so is Sharon the power broker? Is she working for the power broker? Is she working for Hydra? Is she actually working for Sam's best interest? Or is there something else in play altogether that we don't know about? Yeah, so there's a big significance there. Penn says, do you think Bucky asked them to spare him? No, I don't think so. I think they came to that conclusion on their own. They're they're evolved enough, so beyond the rest of the world, that yeah, it's one of those things. They're not going to kill him unnecessarily when he can suffer more in prison. So then we get to the part of Sam basically, trying to figure out if he should become Captain America or not, or pick up the shield, because now he has the shield. And as the Contessa told John, she goes, well, it's kind of a gray area. The government doesn't really own that shield. She even implies that Steve Rogers owns that shield, or really Tony Stark, in a way, the Starks do. So yeah, it's a little bit of a gray area on that one, definitely. So Sam, of course, is working out with the shield. He and Bucky are. And remember, before all of this started, also before Sam even met Cap, he was working in the VA, actually helping people with post-traumatic stress disorders, all kinds of issues, basically in a group setting, and having them work in conjunction with a therapist. And he basically tells Bucky that you need to do the work in order to get better, flat out. And Bucky's finally like, yeah, fuck it, I need to. I also do like the fact that Bucky was flirting with Sarah, which was, that whole look, man. I swear, when Bucky, introduces himself to Sarah, and they're kind of having this little flirt back and forth, and Sam's look on his face when he's pissed off when he's looking at Bucky, was pretty damn funny. It really was. Oh, man. Applecur says Howard Stark gave it to Cap. Cap gave it to Cap. Cap gave it to the Smithsonian. The Smithsonian gave it to Fake Cap. Fake Cap lost to Cap. Kind of, not really. So Howard Stark built it for Cap, is what happened. Cap, of course, goes into the ice, and then Howard Stark is dead at this point when we find him again. So Tony Stark is like, that's my dad's. So that was another issue in Civil War, whereas he was talking about that shield was his father's. And at the end of the beginning of Infinity War, Endgame, he actually brings Cap a new shield. And Yeah. So and that's his gifting the shield back to Cap at that point. So yes, Cap does own it, and then Cap gives it to Sam. And even Bucky talks about that he and Steve had that talk about Sam, and that's why he was okay with Sam having the shield. I mean, instead of him getting it, because and also he thinks of himself as damaged still, that enough to where he can't take up the mantle. So, um, uh, movie Fanobi says he introduced himself as Bucky, which Sam tried to call him early. I know. That's why I liked it. It was just a nice. There's a bunch of nice little scenes in this. I have to admit, this is probably my favorite episode out of the entire season here. Yes, I know we only have one more episode left, but I did like that, and I like that Bucky brought in. He called it a favor to Wakanda, and you know that it's wings again for Sam. He got Sam his wings back, which is kind of cool. Nufinobi says, I think Wakandans bringing him to the raft is more set up for, or else they would have taken him to Wakanda. I don't know. I think it's more of them working with the world at large, if you will, trying to do international relations, because they were actually pushing international relations there for a while, where they were opening up Wakandan embassies all over the world, and that was, of course, before the snap. Yeah. Applegrow says, one nitpick that I have is that Bucky and Cap would be the two who should be the most aware that the U.S. have a problem. Yeah, I agree with you, Applecrow. So that's just where I was kind of leading to. I was kind of getting rid of all the other stuff, because this is Marvel's way of lightly entering the the whole topic of racism in the United States. And they are kind of really not even scratching the surface. They're kind of gliding along the surface of this as they are presenting it. And they're trying to do it in the nicest way. I mean, Isaiah even tells Sam, he goes, are you fucking naive, about all of this? He goes, you seem like you are. And he goes, I used to be like you, and it's not that way. And because of everything that happened to Isaiah, I mean, and yes, it's a very powerful scene where you see him, trying to persuade Sam, well, one, not to out him that he's still alive to anybody, because he said he'd be dead the next day, because having a black super soldier that was in the 50s and incarcerated for 30 years and experimented on would pretty much destroy the US government in lots of ways, because he even brings up the Red Tails, which are the Tuskegee Airmen, and also the Tuskegee Airmen. They're tied into all of that and how they were experimented on. So yeah, they kind of just skim the surface of it, and they're really trying to present a bigger story without touching upon that story, is what they're doing. That's the easiest way I could say it, because I'm sitting there, I'm thinking about it myself, and I'm going, yeah. I mean, I actually read an article where someone's theorizing that Chris Evans is going to be in the last episode. He's going to basically make a cameo as Old Cap, kind of like in the comic, where Old Cap basically makes his endorsement to Sam becoming the new Captain America, whereas John Walker never got that endorsement. Because right now the shield is tainted. It is out there in the world on the news as covered in blood. It is no longer this pristine symbol. It's something I don't know anybody in their right mind who would want to become Captain America at this point or take on that mantle, considering what John Walker did with it. And I mean, yes, if you have Steve Rogers come back and I don't know, vet him as being the person that he chooses to be Captain America. But then again, you have that whole problem of white savior, which becomes an issue as well. And Like I said, you have this. They've kind of. I'm wondering how they're going to get out of this. Is what I'm looking at now for episode 6. Um, I really don't know where they're going to go, how they're going to resolve it. Uh, because him becoming Captain America after what John Walker did, it's an unenviable position. One, if Steve comes in and vouches, old Steve comes in and vouches for him and says, yes, he's my pick for Captain America, you have the white savior complex, but it also cleans up the whole Captain America tarnishment. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's problematic at best at this one. So maybe Obama could do a cameo. Possibly. That would be kind of cool, actually. Apocro says, then it would have to be the Falcon and the Walker Soldier. What was that? Apocro says, the introduction of Isaiah is great, though. I tried looking for that comic series, and it's hard. It is very hard to find. Just go for the digital version, quite honestly, Apocro. I believe you can get the trade paperback, though, as well. So it's red, white, and black, if I remember correctly. And I think it's called. So the writer of that series is dead. He no longer, he passed away, I believe, from cancer. I can't remember what he died from. But it's a great story. The only thing I don't like about it in the story, and that they corrected here in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, is that old Isaiah in the comic, is actually because of everything that happened to him, is mentally infirm. So he is kind of infantile in a way. And, he's being guided around in a wheelchair by his grandson, all this stuff. Whereas this Isaiah Bradley is with it. He knows everything that happened to him. He's pissed off. He's also scared at the same time. And it's one of those things, it's like you needed to have that in order to bring this character more gravitas to this character, which it did. Applecrest, the trade paperback was hard to find. The comics were almost impossible. Yeah, look into the digital, man. Definitely, if you go Marvel Comics, I think it's just marvel.com. I know I'm a member through there. I don't pay anything right now. I'm just, look at other stuff, but I think you can get it through them. Or I think you can get it through Comixology as well. You get a vibranium shield. You get a vibranium shield. Everyone gets vibranium shields, except for you, Bucky. You get a vibranium arm. Movie says there have been great personal moments in the series. I'm glad they circled back to Isaiah. Yes, me too. And also, I'm glad they kind of brought in Eli too again, and had Eli come in and say, hey, I'm still here, kind of thing. So yeah. And I also did like that Io told Bucky, she goes, you're not welcome in Wakanda for a little while. He goes, yeah, I kind of figured that. Yeah. Except USA agent gets US agent. I always say USA agent. I don't know why. US agent gets a steel shield. Yes, he does. Yeah. No, Hydra has their ways of getting stuff. So Madam Hydra, John Walker, Battlestar, the Janus group, they're all intertwined in the comics. So I have a feeling that Julia Louise-Dreyfus is going to be in this for the long haul for the MCU, and is going to be a subplot through whatever happens in Phase 4. Since she is in the Black Widow movie, now that we are confirmed that she is in the Black Widow movie. Applecross says, someone reminded me this episode had a post-credit scene. No, it didn't. I went through the entire credits and there was no post-credit scene. Unless I all of a sudden fell asleep and then woke back up again, right? And the credits were rolling, but I know I didn't. So there was no post-credit scene. There was a mid-credit scene? Really? Well, fuck, now I'm gonna have to go back again. The thing is I fast forwarded, but I could see the window as it's going through slowly and okay, fuck me. I missed that one. Sorry. That's what happens when you're watching this thing right when it comes out at midnight. Yeah. I missed that. Now I'm gonna have to go back and watch it. Do you want to know more? Yeah. See, I'm yeah. That was the other thing too, was I thought that Mortal Kombat came out today, then the remake of the remake of the remake, and it's not. It's coming out on the 23rd. Because I was actually going to cover that for Is It Worth My Time, and not going to happen now. And you might be able to hear some voices because there's some assholes in the hallway right now that are talking. So yeah, or I should say yelling in the hallway is what it sounds like more than anything else. So, but yeah, great episode. I'm wondering how they're going to tie all this thing up next week. Oh, and I almost forgot, but next week, since it is the season finale, this little guy is going to be up for grabs. So I figure, Cap the idol, as everyone's after the shield and whatnot. So this is going to be up for grabs. But basically, what you need to do in the next, in the season finale, is make a comment in the comment section. Doesn't matter how many comments you make, you only get one entry. Also, you need to be within the continental United States to win. And I'm gonna draw hats, draw names out of a hat, the magic hat. And if I pick your name, then you have 24 hours in order to let me know where the hell you live so I can send this out to you. And then yeah, that's how it's gonna go. But yeah. The idolatry of it all. So what else do I have going on the rest of this week? Well, tomorrow is another episode of Saturday Morning Blast Off, where I take the genre news of the week and any other genre stuff you guys want to talk about when we talk about it. Sunday is a doubleheader again with Invincible and The Nevers. Monday I'm off. Tuesday is another episode of Is It Worth My Time? And I don't know what I'm doing as of yet. I'll think of something. I just haven't. I'll need to do something now that Mortal Kombat's not out this weekend. And no, I'm not doing the Melissa Carthy Thunder Force movie. I already suffered through the one that she did with James Corden, and that was fucking horrid. And I understand this is her husband writing again, her husband directing again, and yeah. And I've heard this is just god awful. And I can't bring myself to do it. Although I did see that Mads Mikkelsen has a new trailer out for it's a movie in his native tongue, and it's called Riders of Justice. The Riders of Justice, yes. And it's about him going out and killing a bunch of bikers. Is really what it is. So yeah. It's gonna be an interesting movie. Magnet is gonna be releasing that one. I'm like, sure, all right, I'll go and see it, or I'll rent it on online, whatever it's gonna be. So I'm gonna let you guys go for the night. Thank you to everybody who joined me tonight in the chat, and thank you if you made it this far in the video. If you're still on the fence about subscribing, take a look at the video that pops up at the very end here. Basically, YouTube takes the algorithms of all the stuff you've been watching and tries to match it as best as possible. One of the videos in my vast video library and pops it up there just for you. And if you like what you see there, hit that subscribe button down below there. Also, if you can, hit that like and the share button as well. Also, if you want to know when I'll be on live again next, hit that bell down below. It's a 50-50 chance of YouTube actually notifying you. Best thing to do is go to suspendedfanimation.com, as Penn has already put up in the chat. Also, it has the links to all my social media, all the links to my pages, so YouTube, Facebook, and a Facebook group page. Yeah, that's pretty much everything it's got there. So thank you, everyone. I'm gonna let you guys go. Um, have a good night, and don't let the door hit your ass on the way out. Otherwise, you may get your arm broken by a guy with a jetpack and wings because he's trying to take the shield from you because you went on a murderous rampage because you took that super soldier serum when you shouldn't have, and now you're just a little bit on the nutso side. Thanks, everybody. I will see you again tomorrow for Saturday Morning Blast Off. Until then, stay safe, be well, take care, and wear those masks. And if you can, get those appointments for those vaccinations. Thanks, everybody. I will see you again tomorrow. Have a good night.